There are a lot of old camps. Camps are one of those things that tend to get old. Not a lot of old camps that have stayed with one family, but even more significantly is camps that have been around for 100 years and still have the exact same vision as when they started.
We knew that Dr. Sevier had founded camp to glorify God, and it was just so part of it. It was just so natural.
It was like a tapestry.
Yeah.
It was just woven into.
Because Greystone is a Christ-centered camp, all of the relationships here are Christ-centered.
I remember coming home from camp and feeling like I could talk about faith in a different way with my parents than I ever had felt like I could before.
I remember when I was a camper, my counselors would pray every night in the cabin, and I learned the importance of prayer, and now I get to pray with my campers every night. And it's just really crazy if you stop to think about it, that I pray with my counselors, and my counselors prayed with me, and their counselors prayed with them, and for generations, for 100 years, it goes back, and that is so, so cool and so special.
The Lord continues to provide the right people at the right time for the decades that they are there. You know, you have very different gifts and talents than your dad or even your mom, and your grandmother and your great-grandfather. I feel like each one was exactly what camp needed at the time they were here, and I feel the same way about you now.
And you.
To be able to send my daughter here, especially in this day and age with the social pressures and all of that, I just feel so blessed that she gets to grow up and this gets to be a part of her childhood.
The fact that my grandmother, my mother, myself, my daughter, we've all shared this place, not at the same time, but it's that sacred Greystone echo. We experience the same thing at different times, at different seasons, in different decades.
As a family, we are very grateful for Camp Greystone. We're grateful to the Seviers, to the Hannahs, and now to the Millers, both generations, for continuing on this great and beautiful place.
The stories have been carried on through the generations, so those same traditions are carried throughout by different people, but the same spirit is still projected through the stories and the traditions.
I think of my great-grandfather, but more frequently I think of my grandmother, who I remember speaking. I think of my mother, I think of my father, and I wonder what my voice would sound like to my children when they're doing this one day.
Walking down the road, it always makes me teary thinking that girls in the 20s and 30s were walking down the same road, and they were talking with their friends, and they were holding hands with their friends just like girls are doing now. And the same trees that were planted way back then are now huge and amazing. And I think the trees in particular make me think of, I think they're such a picture of what the Lord is doing, because at the time they were just little sprigs, and now they're huge, and they're sheltering girls when they're having great conversations. The Lord is using these tiny little things that we have planted over the years to grow. I love thinking about all the ways that even if a camper only came for one summer, that her experience at Greystone impacted her entire life.
My mind keeps going back to Greystone and the campfires and the songs and the people.
I mean, putting that candle on that lake, I wasn't thinking very deep at 8, 9, 10, or 11 years old. I just knew that it was a powerful thing to see. There was a camaraderie and a sacredness to it.
Our hearts long to be still and to bask in beautiful things and to just marvel at the glory of simplicity and truth and kindness and just things without the chaos and things without the noise.
God has blessed this place for 100 years, which isn't even all that long for God, 4 generations, but we are just thrilled that He continues to smile upon this place and smile upon this family and the efforts that we are giving, because we do it all for His glory.